the museum, then turning and going back all the way over, is that Self Street? Is that Is that Self?
North Bridge.
North Bridge?
Yes.
Self is when you go down there and turn.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And then coming back up in front of the church?
Yes.
Okay. Could we get, Tex, could you work toward getting that measured and see what it would take, and black fencing rather than the, and there is a reason for the black fencing. We did it over at the elementary school. We were able to come in and paint that fence, but if it's black, you really don't see it like you do if it's the regular chain link.
You're just talking about the black chain link?
Yeah, it's black chain link fence. Alabama Power has it around their property down on.
How many feet is it, Councilman Morris?
We don't know.
I don't have any out of your county.
It should be that much.
Pretty good, pretty good.
Mayor, do you want to get proposals or bids?
Don't exceed $15,000.
Yeah, if it doesn't exceed.
It would be Public Works, we could go to 50,000 on proposal. If it goes over 50,000, we'd have to bid.
I'd like to go on record as saying that a chain link fence is tacky, number one. Number two, I think that we as a city, if there is a need for a fence around one of the most historic hallowed grounds in the city of Wetumpka, we need to get something that's nice and presentable, that is going to be ornate, and is going to showcase the cemetery, because a lot of work and improvements have gone in there to keep it cut, to keep the monuments maintained, and I would just hate to see us put a tacky chain link fence around that cemetery. And that's just the way I feel about it.
Could I say that?
Yes, sir.
Jonathan, you know what? You have a good point. There's nothing wrong with that. But I'm considering what you said, lots of work has gone into the Wetumpka City Cemetery and doing this now. So now we're trying to do some work on the back side to put another chain link fence in there, which will make it look decent and nice. Alabama Power has one. I think cemetery in the big city of Montgomery, Alabama, has a black chain link fence around it also. And what would you suggest we put there? I mean, that you would be happy with?
Whether it be similar to wrought iron, or what the Presbyterian Church has just put around the front of theirs, something that would be more decorative and ornate. Certainly it would be something that we would need to look into, allow Public Works Director to get us some different type of materials, maybe different pictures, different costs, but if it comes down to us putting up a chain link fence, I would rather us have nothing.
Okay, very good. That gives us an option. Public Works, well, the mayor sold it out to you. You get price of what it costs for the black chain link fence. And you want, what kind you want to add?
Whatever types of material are available that the Public Works Director would deem appropriate and cost efficient for the city of Wetumpka.
That sounds good to me.
Thank you.
This means you'll vote in support when it comes up in.
It will not be for chain link.
Sir?
It will not be for chain link.
I'm not getting into that, Councilman. I'm just trying
Okay,
to.
any other questions?
Mayor, did I finish?
Yes, sir.
Let me finish.
Please do.
I'm just trying to get this done, Councilman Hammond, because last year, you and I had spoke about this, and you haven't taken any steps to do anything about it. Am I correct?
Yes, sir, you
Thank
are
you.
correct
Finish
in
now,
that.
Mayor.
Well, I'm not finished. There was a group of concerned citizens who were working towards getting a grant to do some plannings along where that fence would go. In that year's process, that grant has failed through, and they are not going to be able to do those types of plannings. So it is very appropriate for you to bring this up at this point in time, and I thank you for doing so. And as the liaison for the city cemetery, this is the first I've heard of it. So I appreciate your consideration in that matter, just as you do over Park and Recs, as you so commonly remind us. I'm finished, thank you.
Anyone else have any comments about?
Let me make my comments. Is a fence required? I know on the front side, there is no fence, but is there a fence?
There was a fence on the front side for years and years and years. It became such a problem. And Ken being in the funeral business, and I've fooled with that for a number of years myself. Sometimes it's difficult with that fence up on the front side to get in to do a grave, because the cemetery there's a lot of wet in the cemetery. So a lot of times you need to come in from the street side to get to a grave. If you've got to go all the way down to the streets in the cemetery, inside the cemetery, to drive all the way back up to the sidewalk area to do a funeral, sometimes it is virtually impossible to do it. Now, the vaults that they use nowadays, if everybody stays with what's called a polypropylene vault, that one person can carry that in. Back when you used the old concrete vaults, it took a vault truck to get in to set that vault. Now, those are not used as much anymore as they used to be. But still, installing monuments, those kinds of things, sometimes it's easier to come in across the sidewalk, to have access to get into those, than it is to go all the way down when it's so wet in the cemetery. And that's the reason, when that was taken down, when the sidewalk was put down through there, that they chose not to put a fence back through there where you could have access. There was talk way back then, Janice, and I think you remember this, to build a few more columns at strategic places through there, those stone columns that matched the ones that were put there, and we never did it. But we replaced the fence at the end down there going out. That section was replaced at that point in time. But the fence on the front, there are gates out there, okay? But the front entrance, and Ken can tell you this, you gotta be careful when you come in there because it's so narrow. So those gates are really never closed anymore, and the cemetery is not locked at night like it was years and years ago. And we really haven't had a problem with
What I'm getting
people
to is-
stealing flowers, or normally when flowers come up missing out of a cemetery, you have had a good wind that came through and rearranged it. So we just really haven't had the problems in the last 10 or so, 12 years.
That's meant, again, for security purposes, is it meant for delineation, is it meant for anything else? In other words, would it not benefit us just to remove the fence, and that would remove the unsightliness of the silver or
I think-
signage, or is a fence required to keep somebody,
It's not, but I think what sometimes you get is traffic across there, a neighborhood. I grew up next to a cemetery, so I cut across the cemetery all the time. So, that may be part of it, to keep, people from cutting across and traffic through the cemetery that's unnecessary. A lot of work has gone on out there in the last few years real quietly that has restored a lot of graves out there, and they've done a beautiful job. Mr. Jimmy Hicks is one that goes, James Hicks works out there. John Thornton and his wife work out there along with some other people, and they've done a fantastic job of restoring some of that. Got a long ways to go. We're trying to acquire a little trailer apparatus now that could help in repairing some of those vault lids and those slabs. But it's just a matter of choice. I think there's a necessity for the fence across the back. Would you agree, Councilman Washington?
I did, but that's 1, 2, 3, let's look at two prices, let's look at no prices, see what we come up, and might not put one.
We'll start somewhere and see where we wind up.
That's fine. Thank you, Council.
Thank you. Okay, item 4 will be the first reading ordinance to lease property at 295 Ward Street. That's not prepared to do.
Yes.
Okay, we need to hold up on that. Okay, we will be holding up on that.